started. Okay. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Renell. I was one of your classmates during our time here in the Topics of Strategic Communication course. My campaign that I have chosen to do, the campaign that I have chosen to do is Nike. It was actually, they actually had 3 campaigns that I took interest in, and they all actually involved kids being motivated and becoming more confident with themselves and being involved in physical activity and sports um, in their communities. So with that, let's get into a bit of the brief history of Nike. So the brief history of Nike, as you can see on the screen here, this is Phil Knight. He is one of the founders of Nike. Nike was first founded in 1963 as Blue Ribbon Sports. It was founded by a man. It was actually founded by a man named Bill Bowerman, who was the track and field coach at the University of Oregon with his student, as you can see, Phil Knight. In 1966, Bowerman and Phil Knight opened their first retail shoe outlet, and in 1972, the first Nike brand shoe was released to the public. And with that, the swoosh also became a thing because it was so recognizable and it was so different than any logo by any company at the time. So let's move on to the campaigns. So the campaigns that Nike has done in terms of trying to get kids to become more active and participate in sports in their communities, there have been 3 of them thus far. The first one was Nike Go. The second is Inspiring Communities. And the third is Play Academy. And all 3 of those will be spoken of in the following account. So the first campaign that we have here is Nike Go. Nike Go started in 2002. It was started as a way to get kids moving and active in sports and other physical activity. And the reason it was started is because at the time, 2 out of every 5 kids in the US were obese and they were just sitting and laying around. So Nike wanted to kind of help as a way of trying to motivate kids to become more active in physical activity and become more involved in things like sports and things like that. Nike Go actually range from PE classes in schools to bringing physical activity to kids in their after school programs. And there's also a thing at the time called Nike Go grants. Those grants were used to fund different programs in schools and after school programs so that the kids may participate in their program of choice or their sport of choice, giving them the funds and funding the schools and programs to, make these programs happen. The success of Nike Go, it was very successful. It reached over 150,000 kids in the US, in US cities with ongoing and in-depth physical activity programs. Excuse me. Unfortunately, though, Nike Go no longer exists as a campaign. However, it still exists in the sense that Nike has used it as kind of a motivator for another campaign known as Inspiring Communities. And Inspiring Communities is kind of, as you can see here, it's kind of like the successor and modern day version of Nike Go. It still places a heavy emphasis on activity, kids being active, and kids moving and getting up and being involved in sports and community activity. It places the same emphasis, just as I just said, it places the same emphasis on trying to get kids to become active. However, what is different with this one is the fact that it places more emphasis and focus on motivating young girls to become involved in sports and gaining confidence with themselves as well. Um, with this campaign, Nike also wants to train more volunteer coaches to foster a fun environment for kids involved in these sports. And that was a big thing when I was doing my research too, is the fact that inspiring communities is really based on the fun aspect and enjoyment aspect of competition and sports and kids being involved and kids just being kids really, and them just having fun and enjoying their time, in their sport of choice or their activity of choice. But with this, um, inspiring communities also wants to motivate more young girls to become involved in sports because girls actually drop out of sports twice as much as boys around the world. And that is due to the fact that a lot of them don't have the resources or access to sports or activities in their communities around the world. They also, many of them lack the confidence to be involved in, sports around the world or activities themselves, physical activity. So with that, actually, another program by Nike, a campaign by Nike, was created to it was created basically as a direct foster to the girls and young girls in the US and around the world so that they may be involved with sports. And with that, we will go to the next slide. So on this slide here, this is the final campaign. This campaign was known as Play Academy. It was created by professional tennis player Naomi Osaka, as you see here on the right-hand side of the screen. It was created actually after she had the thought of something after a tournament she was playing in, and a parent came up to her, and that parent basically thanked her for being a great role model to her kids. And with that, Naomi kind of realized that girls really don't have the access to sports and role models to be comfortable in their sports. And that goes to the second point where it says Play Academy was created to foster an environment where girls can feel comfortable in being involved in sports. The next point is the fact that, like I said in the last slide, girls drop out of sports at twice the rate as boys around the world. And Naomi basically wanted to compartmentalize, and make an emphasis on role models. And, she used her own personal role models as an example, her mother and her sister, for pushing her and being her greatest supporters and being her best, cheerleaders when she first picked up a tennis racket at age 3. So this goes to the fourth point of, Play Academy makes the point of getting girls to find their role models and use them as motivation for their involvement in sports and physical activity. So there's that. And, Naomi makes a great point. She wants girls to realize that they can play sports too. They can feel comfortable with playing sports too. They don't have to feel left out or hurt or, not confident because, they're girls. They don't have to feel that way. And that goes to the final point of her wanting to show the girls, young girls, that they are stronger and more powerful than they are. And by this gives the girls, young girls, confidence and a belief in themselves that they really could participate in sports and physical activity just as much as boys, and they're a lot stronger than they actually give themselves credit for. So that's Play Academy. And thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. And yeah, hope you enjoy it.